if Satoshis become the base layer of money, which I sincerely believe will happen, don't know the time scale, but I believe it will happen, these things are going to be so valuable, people's heads are going to spin.
Yeah.
And so, I just felt like I wanted to try and point that out in the book to people thinking about this as an investment. You just don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
And I get people's fears about it. And I have my client base in my investment management business is on the older side in general. And, they're skeptical, understandably. And I'm like, okay, fine. I get it. I'm not suggesting you take 100% of your money and put it in Bitcoin. But what I am suggesting is you can afford to put 1%, 5%, 10%. You can afford that.
Yeah.
Even if I'm wrong and it goes to zero, it's not going to change your lifestyle. And if I'm right and it does a 10 bagger and then another 10 bagger and then another 10 bagger,
it's going to improve
you're
your
going
lifestyle.
you're going to be really glad you did it, right?
Imagine waking up in 2035, the US dollar has collapsed, governments are scrambling to stay afloat, and Bitcoin has become the global financial standard. Banks are obsolete, traditional investments have crumbled, and those who saw this coming are now untouchable financial titans. What once seemed like a speculative asset has now taken center stage, leaving behind those who refuse to adapt. Renowned finance expert Larry Lepard recently sounded the alarm, warning that we're approaching the financial endgame. In a recent post on X, he stated, "Every big print gets bigger. Mathematically, we're reaching the endgame. By the early 2030s, we'll likely return to a sound money standard." For decades, governments have recklessly inflated fiat currencies, drowning in debt they can never repay. Now, the system is on the brink of collapse, and when it does, Bitcoin will be the only true safe haven. Despite the warning signs, most people remain blind to the shift. Gold bugs still cling to their shiny metal, traditional investors mock Bitcoin's volatility, and boomers call it a scam. But those who understand Bitcoin's true power are quietly securing their financial future. The world is changing fast. The only question is, will you act before it's too late? Have you ever wondered who the crypto advisor must be for the biggest names in the online business space, such as Aman Godzi, Andrew Tate, and Luke Belmar? Well, there's one crypto investor who was the consultant for all of them, and he actually shares the systems he gave these influencers to make them millions on his YouTube channel for free, growing an 8 million portfolio by the age of 25. Daniel McAvoy is one of the best crypto investors you'll find online, specializing in long-term investments and meme coin investing. His YouTube channel is packed with incredibly valuable videos that will help you make life-changing wealth from crypto. Start watching one of the greats today, link in the description of this video.
There's nothing in the world that doesn't happen without money. If Satoshis become the base layer of money, which I sincerely believe will happen, don't know the time scale, but I believe it will happen, these things are going to be so valuable, people's heads are going to spin.
Yeah.
And so, I just felt like I wanted to try and point that out in the book to people thinking about this as an investment. You just don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
And I get people's fears about it. And I have my client base in my investment management business is on the older side in general. And, they're skeptical, understandably. And I'm like, okay, fine. I get it. I'm not suggesting you take 100% of your money and put it in Bitcoin. But what I am suggesting is you can afford to put 1%, 5%, 10%. You can afford that.
Yeah.
Even if I'm wrong and it goes to zero, it's not going to change your lifestyle. And if I'm right and it does a 10 bagger and then another 10 bagger and then another 10 bagger, it's
going to improve
you're
your
going to be you're going to be really glad you did it, right?
Yeah.
Just like, the people who bought it at 10,000 are very glad they have it now at 100. Well, I think in 5 years it's going to be worth $1 million, and if you didn't buy it at 100, you're going to have regret. So
Exactly.
I just think it's a point that's important to make. I really hope and pray that the no internet, the dystopian world doesn't come to pass. I don't think it will. But as I've always said, gold is really useful for bribing the border guards because I don't think they're going to have a lightning wallet, and understand how what your Bitcoin is worth. And silver, silver coins. I got a bunch of silver coins, and I think they're very valuable for just everyday exchange in the sense that a gold coin is extremely valuable. It's hard to do commerce with a gold coin that's $3,000 for an ounce.
Right.
On the other hand, a silver coin is $30, $40. That's a tank of gas. That's 3 chickens. That's how many pounds of beef, whatever it is. People know what it is. You know? So in terms of bearer money, silver coins are a great choice, and I think everybody should have some.
Yes.
In case there's that brief period of time where all the other forms of money aren't working. But I tend to be very optimistic, Robert. I think we're going to go into a much better world. I think we're going to make a transition to Bitcoin without incredible pain. I think there's going to be a one-time shock to people who've stored their wealth in fiat, and that's going to be unpleasant. You got a big bond portfolio. I think you're going to be shocked.
Yeah.
Sadly. But that is what it is. I think the average if you look at the average person, like take a plumber, they have some savings, they have a mortgage on their house, they do well, they feed themselves. I mean, we go through an enormous monetary thing. Okay, well, their house is going to reprice in the new money. The debt that they had will probably be a lot less valuable. Their savings will probably be a lot less valuable. But if they're young and they know how to fix toilets and do plumbing shit, they're gonna be okay. They're gonna reprice in whatever the new currency is, and people are gonna need that useful skill.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not. Now, if you're a big wealthy guy and you've got all your money in a bond portfolio, I think you could lose a large piece of your wealth.
Right.
Bitcoin's going to succeed because it's better technologically. It's easier to verify. It's got triple entry accounting. Just in every respect. And people say the gold standard failed, and it did, partially based on technology, but also based on politics. They figured out how to create paper gold. Nixon, basically broke the gold standard. He didn't have to, but he did. But Bitcoin is a much better version of gold. It doesn't deflect. It doesn't debase. It will become the superior asset to gold, and gold will have jewelry value. That's going to take a lot of time because there are 8 billion people that understand that gold has value, and there aren't that many people that understand Bitcoin has value. So there's, we're in this transition period between those two extremes. To answer your question, how do I orange pill gold pugs? So I generally encounter a couple of objections, and I go to the New Orleans Gold, what used to be called the New Orleans Gold Show. Now it's the New Orleans Investment Conference, and the guy who runs is a good guy, Brian London, and he's gotten much more open-minded about Bitcoin. He's had Lynn there, he's had me there, he's had Jane Lavish there, even though Peter Schiff goes every year and argues with us vociferously. I generally, a lot of people get hung up on the physicality of it all, and with those people, I go to the money as a ledger argument. You know what I mean? Look, you can't touch the money in your bank account. It's just some numerals on your computer screen, right? The cash isn't really there. Yeah. Money's a ledger. It always has been a ledger. Before gold even existed, people in caves made marks, which were indicating some kind of debit and credit system of who owed who what. So money doesn't have to be physical. What are the other objections the gold bugs bring up? Well, sometimes they bring up the government's going to kill it, but the ETF kind of swatted that one away. Sometimes they bring up, it's MySpace and, Facebook will beat it. Yeah. As we talked about offline, that's kind of not realistic because of the fact that it took so many years to build up this, immutable network. And if anyone tried to do it again, it would be very susceptible to a 51% attack. Right. It's a ledger. It's a bearer ledger asset, and it's there. And you either believe in the ledger or you don't. Now, some people say, well, the technology, and the other argument I've heard more recently is the quantum computing argument. Yeah. And I've dug into that, and I've read as much as I can about it. And, I think it certainly constitutes a risk, but I think it's a very far out risk, like decades out. Yeah. And I also think that, we could actually apply it to Bitcoin, and maybe there'd be a hard fork, where everyone would migrate over to the new thing that solves that problem. So I just don't worry about that. Decades. I don't have super number of decades left, so so I think I'm good. But it's look, there are risks to any choice financially, and everybody knows that. And so, I don't have all my money in Bitcoin. I don't have all my money in gold. I have some of my money in real estate, and I even have a small amount of cash just because I want to be able to take advantage of opportunities. Sure. So,
it's all probabilistic.
Exactly.
What if you had bought Amazon in 2000? Apple in 1997, or Tesla before it skyrocketed? Those who doubted missed out on life-changing wealth. Now, we're standing at the edge of something even bigger, the reinvention of money itself. This time, the bet is asymmetrical. If Bitcoin fails, you lose a little, but if it succeeds, you win big. Larry Lepard is shouting from the rooftops that Bitcoin is the future, but most people won't realize it until it's too late. By 2035, Bitcoin may no longer be affordable, and those who acted early could find themselves living in financial freedom, while the rest will be left watching from the sidelines, filled with regret. The clock is ticking. This could be the greatest financial opportunity of all time. Will you seize it, or look back wishing you had listened? Let's dive into more insights from Larry's interview and understand why this moment could change your financial future forever.
Critics of Bitcoin that would say, they're just going to do the same thing to Bitcoin. How would you?
That's a really great question, and George Gammon made a good point that there'll be paper Bitcoin in the future, and there could be. If you look at it today, there's not a lot of paper Bitcoin. You can see the number of derivatives, futures, options, et cetera, contracts out there. Compared to the total amount out there, the total amount on exchange, the total trading, they haven't done it. I mean, recall that they've had since the 70s to perfect this gold scheme, okay? And gold is a slightly different beast than Bitcoin. You know, gold has never had a year where it's gone up 5x, okay? Bitcoin has, okay? So suppressing gold and then waiting for it to come back down so you can cover your shorts without taking a loss or having to print a lot of paper to cover the loss has been an easier game than with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is, you know, it's a wilder animal from a price point of view, so they can't necessarily get their arms around it quite as quickly. But to be fair, it is somewhat of a risk. I mean, I think that a couple of things argue against it. One is the whole notion of proof of reserves, which I think River is doing a very good job of, you know, showing. I mean, basically, we get into trouble when people start claiming say they have Bitcoin and they don't have Bitcoin. Right. Yeah. So, you know, if I mean, one of the things that I think has happened is GLD, which is the biggest gold ETF. I don't think they have all the gold they say they have. Okay. So people have put money into GLD. That money has not gone to buy real physical ounces. It's just money that's there. They have a fraction of all the gold they say they have, but not all of it, in my opinion. And so if that kind of thing were to start to happen in Bitcoin, if BlackRock were to start to not buy, I mean, if the auditors were in on it with BlackRock and BlackRock were taking money in for the Bitcoin ETF, but not actually buying all the Bitcoin they claim to have, that would become problematic. And you know, I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility, but you know, you'd have to get the auditors in on it. And I think there's, you know, because of Bitcoin's your ability to do the on-chain analytics, that's another piece of this whole thing. I mean, you had double entry accounting. I mean, Bitcoin, you've kind of got triple entry accounting. Right. You know, you've got independent people can see where all the transactions are. So I think it's more manipulation proof than gold in a large way. Easier to see, easier to verify, easier to move. Yeah. But I don't think it's completely manipulation proof. And I think it's something we always have to watch. And that's why in the book, you know, there's a chapter in the book called Policy Response, where I basically talk about, okay, we're in a friggin' mess. How do we get out of it? Okay. And I say, you know, we got to do this, this, and this. And then at the end of it, I say we got to ban derivatives. And that's why. Because we don't want Bitcoin to be corrupted in the same way that gold was corrupted. As you're seeing right now, there are people who have gold in the LBMA vaults that are asking to get it out. Right. And they're being told they can't have it. Right. Or, you know,
wait 6 weeks.
Wait 6 to 8 weeks, and maybe we'll get it for you, you know, whatever. I mean, this, you know, I don't know. We've seen this before, and I don't want to get way ahead of myself. I don't want to get too far out over my skis. This could all calm down. Deliveries could return to normal. Everything could be fine. Or this could become, you know, this is the smoke, and there turns out there's a real fire, and the paper gold market is in trouble. I mean, I think that's certainly within the realm of possibility.
Well, at 100 to 1 on the low side,
right?
The trouble's coming at some point.
It feels to me that way.
Just a matter of when.
But it hasn't happened yet. I mean, this is all of these events. I mean, they're what I call kind of quote unquote critical state events. Yeah. Avalanches are critical state events, right?
Yeah.
You know,
right.
A bunch of snow sitting there.
Yeah. Right.
One snowflake falls.
The hair that broke the camel's back.
Exactly. Yeah. They're all critical state events. Yeah. And when they happen, I mean, and that's why I make this point in the book. I mean, it's kind of like there's going to be a do-over here. You know what I mean? You're either going to, I mean, if we really do have a big monetary event, a big print, a big reset, you know, it's you're not going to say, oh, gosh, I'm sorry I f***ed that up. Yeah. You know, I want to go back and do it over again. It's going to be like, no
do-overs.
There's no do-over. You know, Bitcoin is now it's now $1 million bid. Gold is 10,000 bid. Do you want some or not?
What do you think? What is that going to be like? How should we be preparing for this? Like what? Well, you know, it's a good thing if you're holding Bitcoin, but there's also going to be probably a lot of instability that comes along.
Yeah, and there are going to be people who are hurt and all of that. And so what I'm hoping is that we just kind of trend in that direction
slowly.
Yeah, slowly and consistently. Yeah. And because I think that, you know, society, a shock, a real discontinuous event to the upside will be, you know, people will get hurt. Let's just face it. I mean, people will get hurt. And yes, those of us who own Bitcoin will go, wow, look at this. I'm a lot richer than I used to be. But, you know, all your neighbors will be hurting. The society will be hurt. I mean, there'll be a lot of problems with it. So I think the better way to do it is just to kind of advocate for this and move in that direction. I mean, And even if it happened today, I'm not sure it'd be a really great thing, just because, although I'd really like to see the federal government fail. But, you know, we don't, I mean, we need better layer 2 solutions. Do you know what I mean? So Bitcoin, we haven't talked about this at all, but Bitcoin is winning the store of value game. I mean, just crushing it, right?
Yeah. It's already won, basically.
Won it, winning, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to keep on winning. There's going to be so much winning here, they're not going to know what to do, right? But the medium of exchange game, man, I have to say, having been in the space, you know, since I bought some in 2014, but more active in it since the kind of the 1920 timeframe, when I first started going to the big conferences and all. You know, the Lightning Network, gosh, I wish it were coming along faster. You know, small things works great. $5,000, good luck. I mean, it's hard to do larger transactions. There's not enough liquidity yet. You know, and this is why, although I shit on almost all of the crypto, I am open-minded to the fact that maybe Lightning isn't the layer 2, and maybe something else will be. Yeah. That we will all save in Bitcoin and then transfer to some other coin. Right. As a layer 2 kind of Lightning substitute. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a possibility.
Imagine a world where Bitcoin isn't just an asset, it's the backbone of the global economy. Sounds crazy, right? But as cracks in the traditional financial system widen, more experts are stepping forward, claiming that Bitcoin is not just a hedge, it's the inevitable future of money. Financial heavyweights like Larry Lepard have raised concerns about Bitcoin's vulnerability to manipulation, similar to gold. While Bitcoin has safeguards like proof of reserves and on-chain analytics, powerful players can still distort markets. Yet, despite these challenges, the concept of hyper-Bitcoinization, where Bitcoin becomes the dominant global currency, is gaining serious traction. Lepard isn't alone in this prediction. Arthur Hayes, former CEO of BitMEX, has also suggested that a major financial collapse could push governments to adopt Bitcoin-backed currencies for stability. If fiat currencies continue their downward spiral fueled by unsustainable debt, Bitcoin may rise as the last true safe haven. However, questions remain. Can Bitcoin evolve from a store of value into a practical medium of exchange? Solutions like the Lightning Network are promising, but still have limitations. Yet, leaders like Jack Mallers, CEO of Strike, believe it's only a matter of time before Bitcoin rivals Visa and MasterCard in transaction speed and efficiency. But here's the bigger picture: this shift isn't just about Bitcoin. Lepard refers to the fourth turning model, which predicts major economic upheavals every few generations. The 2008 financial crisis and the birth of Bitcoin marked the beginning of a new cycle, one that could climax by the early 2030s. What comes next? A Bitcoin-backed dollar? A fully decentralized economy? One thing is clear: the old system is breaking, and those who fail to prepare may find themselves left behind. The choice is yours. Will you position yourself for the future or be caught off guard when the shift happens? For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.